Scientists believe this animal is the real Bunyip. For centuries, stories of a terrifying creature called the Bunyip have echoed out of Australia's swamps and waterholes. Most people have written it off as just folklore, a scary story to tell around the campfire. But what if the legends were actually describing a real animal? What if science is finally connecting the dots between the myth and a creature we all know? Just one that was in a very, very unexpected place.
Hit like and subscribe. This is Fierce.
Deep in the billabongs and riverbeds of southeastern Australia, there's a legend that's been whispered for generations, the story of the Bunyip. The name itself is thought to come from the Wemba Wemba or Wergaia languages, and it's often translated to something like devil or evil spirit. But just calling the Bunyip a monster doesn't do it justice. In Australian Aboriginal mythology, the Bunyip is a powerful spiritual figure tied to the dream time, the creation period. It was seen as a guardian of the waterways, an enforcer of natural law, and a protector of sacred sites. In many traditions, the Bunyip was a sharp reminder to respect nature's balance, a water spirit that would punish anyone who took too many fish or kids who wandered too close to the water. This was not a creature you wanted to mess with. It was said to be a predator that could make water levels rise and fall, and its horrifying booming roar could be heard for miles. But here's where things get tricky. If you ask 10 different people what a Bunyip looks like, you'll probably get 10 different answers. Some stories describe a creature with a dog-like face and dark, shaggy fur. Others talk about a long-necked beast with the head of a horse or an emu. Some mention tusks, flippers, feathers, or even describe it as a giant, monstrous starfish. This wild inconsistency is one of the main reasons scientists have struggled to pin down what the Bunyip could be. It's a monster with 1,000 faces. But what if those faces all belong to real animals, just seen through the lens of fear? When European settlers arrived in the 19th century, they were stepping into a land filled with animals that defied belief. Platypuses, kangaroos, you name it. So when they heard the Aboriginal stories about the Bunyip, it wasn't a huge stretch for them to believe another bizarre creature was hiding in the water. The 1840s and 50s were peak Bunyip mania. Settlers, totally unfamiliar with the weird sounds of the Aussie bush, blamed every strange noise on the monster. Newspapers fueled the fire with sensational headlines, and the Bunyip transformed from a spiritual being into a literal beast to be hunted. Everyone was desperate for physical proof, and then, in 1846, they thought they'd found it. A settler discovered a strange, deformed skull on the bank of the Murrumbidgee River. He claimed that every Aboriginal person he showed it to instantly said it was a Bunyip skull. It was sent to the Australian Museum in Sydney and put on display, causing a massive sensation as crowds flocked to see the proof. But the excitement didn't last long. A few days later, actual scientists, including the famous anatomist Sir Richard Owen, took a look. The conclusion? The Bunyip skull was just the deformed skull of a baby horse or calf. It was a major letdown for believers, but the legend was too strong to die. Around the same time, fossils of giant, extinct marsupials were being dug up, and when shown to local Aboriginal people, these were also sometimes identified as Bunyip remains. The line between myth, science, and mistaken identity was getting blurrier than ever. For decades, the Bunyip was just a myth. But there's one scientific theory that keeps coming back, and it doesn't involve monsters at all. It involves a very real, very familiar animal. Today, many scientists and historians believe that a huge number of Bunyip sightings, especially those from the 19th century, can be explained by seals. I know what you're thinking. Seals are ocean animals, and bunyips live in inland swamps. But the geography of Australia is the missing piece of the puzzle. The Murray and Darling river systems are enormous, stretching thousands of kilometers inland from the coast, right through the heart of Bunyip country, and we have documented proof of seals traveling way up these rivers. Back in 1933, Australian naturalist Charles Fenner wrote that seals had been found as far inland as Loxton and Carnargo, hundreds of kilometers from the sea. Now, put yourself in the shoes of someone in the 19th century who has never seen a marine mammal. You're near a river at dusk. All of a sudden, a big dark shape with shaggy fur slides into the water. It has a round, dog-like head, and then it lets out a deep, booming roar that echoes across the billabong. What would you think you just saw? This description is a near-perfect match for a southern elephant seal or a leopard seal, both of which are known to be aggressive. Their fur, faces, and loud calls line up perfectly with the most common seal dog version of the Bunyip. Stumbling upon a 400-kilogram leopard seal in a freshwater river would be terrifying. It's easy to see how that story, told over and over, could grow into the legend of a water monster. This theory gives us a rational, biological explanation for the myth, grounding it in a real, verifiable event. Okay, the seal theory is compelling, but it doesn't cover all the bases, does it? What about the bunyips with long necks or heads like horses? For that, we need to look much further back in time, to Australia's prehistoric past. Another leading theory suggests the bunyip isn't one animal, but a cultural memory of Australia's extinct megafauna. For tens of thousands of years, the ancestors of Australia's first peoples lived alongside giant marsupials. Think about creatures like the diprotodon, a wombat-like animal the size of a rhino. We know from paleontologists that these giants often wallowed in water holes to cool off, kind of like a hippo. When their massive fossilized bones were found in the 19th century, often near dried-up lakes, many people assumed they were the remains of bunyips. It's very likely that ancient Aboriginal stories about these real-life giants, passed down through generations, became the foundation for the bigger, bulkier versions of the bunyip. The stories simply outlived the animals. So the bunyip probably isn't a single creature. It's more of a composite, a mythological being built from the parts of many different real-world encounters. It's the shocking sight of a seal, hundreds of kilometers from home. It's the unsettling deep call of the Australasian bittern, a bird nicknamed the bunyip bird for its creepy cry. And it's the faded cultural memory of real giants that roamed the land thousands of years ago. The legend of the bunyip is a fantastic story about where nature, culture, and fear collide. It shows how we try to make sense of the unknown, turning a weird sound in the night or a glimpse of an animal in the wrong place into a full-blown monster. The real animal behind the bunyip wasn't one creature, but many, all seen through the filter of human experience. From a lost seal to the ghost of a giant marsupial, the bunyip is a powerful testament to storytelling and the wild mysteries of the natural world. What do you think? Could a confused seal be the source of Australia's most famous monster? Let us know your theories down in the comments. And if you love digging into the science behind myths and legends, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive.